everybody, back at the Remington 700. Today I'm going to be mounting a 4x16 with a 44mm objective on the front of this. I've got some Vortex scope rings, and it should be a pretty simple process. I put the Picatinny rail on it in the last video. Since then I've been down to Florida hog hunting, and if you didn't see that video you should watch it. I apologize for not getting any more action shots. It happened kind of quick, that hunt, and I wasn't really set up yet. I planned on getting into the stand and setting up my tripods, cameras, whatnot, but it just never happened that way. I ended up getting that hog right out of the buggy on the whale. It was a really good hog, couldn't pass it up, so I only got shots of it after I shot it. So anyway, that's all done, waiting for the meat to get in, and we'll be doing some sausage and different things with that. Some summer sausage and some Italian sweet sausage. But right now I want to get these guns set up and get them sighted in, so today we're going to put the scope rings on and see how this goes. I have leveled up the gun with some levels. Got the Picatinny reel, you know, as best I could by eye here. It's pretty almost right on. I'll play with it more once I get the scope on. But we'll just get the initial set here, just get it snugged up. And then we'll get the scope out of the box and see what it looks like on here. If you didn't know from one of my previous videos, this 30-06 is chambered in 30-06, so. I'm using the Vortex Pro Series rings. These are medium height. You gotta make sure you get the right ones for the scope that you have. You know, I have a 30mm tube on this scope, so I have to get the 30mm rings, obviously. And I will be using a Wheeler Engineering torque screwdriver to set all of these. And the nice thing about these Vortex rings is they're labeled right on it. So 30 inch-pounds for the mount to the Picatinny rail, and then it's 18 inch-pounds to the tube. And you want to be real careful with that. I know lots of guys that have always just run it by feel, or you know, I'm trying to do it by the book here. So I'm now the owner of 3 different Vortex scopes. I like them. They're affordable. We'll see how they perform. That'll be the big thing for me. I'm more interested in how things perform than any of the other sexy stuff that goes along with it. If you look good and all that, and you don't work right, you're not gonna handle things in my book. I do have a lapping bar set, and we are going to do that. We're going to lap these rings once I get everything where I want it. Basically, I'm going to get this off and just temporarily put it in here, see where I want how far forward I want it, all of those things. make sure I can pick up the sights good out of my eyes, get the eye relief right. And once we get all that set, we'll re-level everything. Check it one last time and then lap these rings. The old way is just do it by hand, back and forth with some rubbing compound, but this kit comes with a drill attachment, and I'm not sure how I feel about that yet. We'll see. We'll probably do it the old-fashioned way first off, see where it gets us. I shouldn't have to lap too much on these rings since it's going on a Picatinny rail. That's precision machined. The Pro rings are precision machined, so hopefully it's pretty good. One thing that you will do, I'll always use this ring in this orientation, this top ring now, until the end of this, so I'm always putting everything back in the exact same way. And we want to do that just to make sure that, especially after we lap everything, that's going to be how you want it. Avoid any mismatch. Last thing you want to do is improperly mount that scope that you just paid $400 for, or some guys, they pay a lot more for their optics. Alright. Depending on how that looks to my eye, I'm going to have some forward movement there. Probably should move this back a little bit. Give myself a little bit more leeway. There we go. Make sure everything's seated. And again, I'm just barely snugging this stuff up. Just put this on here just so the scope doesn't fall off. And when I get to it for real, I'll make sure that both sides of this is coming down evenly on the tube before we even start to torque anything. Set that down to the lowest power. Just get it somewhat level here. This is really just for my eye relief. We'll have to level everything up anyhow. Not bad. I think I might move it back just a touch. And this is all just about getting these rings in the right spot so you have enough adjustment. What you don't want to do is put the rings on, lap everything, put your scope on, and then realize you got to come back a 1/4 inch and you don't have the room in your ring, placement. So you want to keep from the center of the turret. If you can keep midway on your scope, that's great. It'll depend on your scope, what you have for eye relief, what type of gun, what type of buttstock, your style of shooting. So you may want to favor one way or another, but that's why you do this part. It's kind of tedious, But the extra few minutes in the beginning now, well, this gun will be set up for life for me. I won't, I probably won't ever have to mess with this gun again. I hope. Alright, we won't worry too much about level right now. It's not bad. So now that we got the scope ring set where we want them, we got our 30mm lapping bar out. We'll just be working in some rubbing compound and taking a little bit of material off here. This is 220 grit. And I think I'm going to do it this way. I'm just going to put a little material in the rings. Set our lapping bar in. And we're going to just, once again, snug this. And we may have to play with this a little bit. You're going to have to get it just so we just are able to move that lapping bar around, back and forth. And this just ensures perfect alignment for your scope. And you can hear the, you just want to, this is how you want to do. You just want to move this back and forth with a twisted motion. I don't know that I really want to do this with a drill, but I guess it will be faster. We're going to see what we get from each other seated. You can see how it's just moving real easy now. I'm going to snug up my rings a little bit. Make sure you're getting all the screws snugged up. Do your alternating pattern. Hopefully everything's looking even here. And I'm just going back and forth with a circular motion. So I get a real smooth feel. You want to be careful not to get any of this compound on your barrel. It's sandpaper in a paste form, that's what it is. So you definitely don't want it on your gun finish, on your barrel. It's just taking maybe a little bit of the paint off from these rings, a little bit of the metal. This will be my last run at it, I think. I'm very happy with the way this is starting to feel right now. And you'll feel it start to break. Alright, I'm happy with that. Again, now that these are lapped, make sure you keep everything in the same orientation, put it back in the same spot. And this is where you're going to want to clean. You're going to make sure you get this all cleaned up really good. But you don't want any of this in between your scope and your rings. The same reason I said not to get it on your gun is because it's just going to scratch everything. In fact, we're going to take a little bit of cleaner. Now let's clean this up. But you can see where it just took a little bit of material off. First thing I want to do is get this gun close to level again. These levels are not expensive either. It's just to get it close. Alright, I like that. It looks pretty good. Which it should look good that way. Yeah. I like that. Again, same orientation with your rings, the same way you lapped them. We're going to get everything snug down here. And put this scope right back on the line that I made. Theoretically the gun's level, so now if I level the scope, it'll be level to the gun. Alright. Just do a quick check to see where I am with my reticle level. Not bad. We're pretty good that way. I am not bad at all right there. Gotta get this set back down to 18 inch-pounds. Just gonna touch these because I want to take this gun out of the vise, snap it up to my eye, and ensure that my reticles look level by eye. That's pretty good. Worth the extra few minutes. Alright, now we just have to torque it down and we're ready to go to the range. Again, we're going to go alternating patterns. We'll find a little clean here. Chamber's empty. a scope mount on a Remington 700, chambered in 30-06. Probably took me a little bit longer because it's the first time doing it, but I mean, literally, this whole thing start to finish, should be able to do within like half an hour or so. Well, let's get out the Model 70 and install a scope on that one. Alright, we got the Winchester Model 70 300 Win Mag. I've just put the scope rings on it. Same operation, you want to get them into a position where you have a good adjustment. Check your eye relief, how far back, how far forward you want this scope. I got it about to where I want it. And I'm just going to make a little pencil line on the top of the scope. And now I can remove it. And we're going to lap these rings just like we did. Just like we did with the Remington 700. Now this scope is a little bit bigger just because it's going on a 300 Win Mag. And I'm setting this up for out west for my dream hunt. On elk hunting, mule deer hunting. So this has a 6x24 with a 50-inch objective on the front. And as you can see with my little flip up sight here, I had to flip it down just to get it out of the way, but that's okay, that's what it's there for. Those are backup sights. If something ever happens, I take this off, I use my iron sights. So now I'm going to get this scope set aside. Let's get some rubbing compound in on these rings. And again, don't get any on your barrel or on your stock or anything that you don't want scratched. Because this is just sandpaper in paste form. That's all it is. Make sure you get the proper size lapping bar in, obviously. And we're going to get these screws set. You just barely want to get them on so everything's seated evenly, because you need to move that bar back and forth. And like I showed you with the other rifle, it's got to go, I kind of do a rotation back and forth. You'll feel it get loose, then we'll maybe snug up these screws just a little bit. And I mean, you barely snug them up. If you put any real pressure on it, the lapping bar will not move. If you want to get it so it'll just move for you. And that's what's going to give you the best results. I'm real happy with the way these scopes looking through them. You can see I'm just twisting motion back and forth. You can see it's getting easier as I'm working through. Once I get a real nice loose feel like that, I'm just going to go and just, telling you, you'll see when you do it, it's just barely putting pressure on these screws. And again, do it in an alternating pattern. And as I said, they have an attachment. I'll show it to you. They have an attachment here that I could put on the drill. I would put it on the backside, and I could spin this with a drill. I would do it from this way if I was going to do it, just not to damage the barrel. But honestly, I don't think that's necessary. Unless you got something in really rough shape, which you shouldn't. I mean, this is all precision machine parts. But they're not perfect. This just ensures a little bit better fit, so that you're not putting more pressure on one part of your scope tube than the other, and it messes up your optics. So we're going to just go a little bit tighter here. Maybe go one more round. From the middle here, but let's see if it's any different from the back. I don't think it will be. Maybe a little bit easier, just going around a little bit. Hitting the handle so much gives you a little bit more throw. What we'll do is we'll get things cleaned up, and we'll get the scope mounted in here. Remember, I got that pencil line there. Now what we want to do first, let's get this gun leveled up the best we can. Get it close. And all this does is get it so I can get that my scope reticles close to level as possible. There we go. We do that by using this level. And I let my eye decide the final before I torque it down. Anyway. And that's when I snap this gun up. And I'll put it up against something level, like I like to use a door. The grills in the door, I know my door's level, and I can line up my reticles with that when I put it up. I know how I'm holding and everything looks good. It's not the most scientific way, but it seems to work for me. What you don't want is to get this all mounted, then be out hunting and that reticle's tilted, you know. That's why you want these level. So again, before you do anything here, make sure you're starting even. Just barely snug enough. If you don't have a torque wrench like this and you're installing a scope, it's really, unless you know what an 18 inch-pounds feels like, you can really ruin a scope. I think this wrench was like $50 or $60, but when you're dropping 4 or 5, again, some guys will spend thousands of dollars on these scopes. These scopes are about $350 a piece, I think, $400 range, which is expensive for me. I usually, all the guns that I've owned, like I said before, all the guns that I've owned, I've already had a scope on them. Somebody else put them on. And they were all, cheaper scopes. Okay, levels are looking good. I want to do my eye test now before I torque anything. Yeah. Looking pretty good. Now we're going to go 18 inch-pounds. And again, just alternating patterns. One thing I've noticed about this torque wrench is once it hits the peak measure, you got to let it clear before you start again. Here we go. That is scope install on the Winchester Model 70. Chambered in 300 Win Mag. And I cannot wait to get to the range to do the rest of the sighting. I will bore sight these. I have a laser bore sighter. Get them close. And hopefully from there, we're going to be driving tack. So with this one, well, 300 yards, that's the range that I have right now. So I want to be grouping 2 inches at 300 yards, maybe 1 inch. If you didn't get a chance, take a look at my hog hunt video. Went down in Florida for a little while. Went to the Central Florida trophy hunts. And really nice family business there. Good people. There we go. We'll put the hood on. Really make this thing look sick. .300 Win Mag, Winchester Model 70, Alaskan model. The Alaskan model just comes with iron sights, so you have those for backup. And can't wait to get to the range. See you guys next time. Really love this gun.